Good afternoon, John. I realise that's a bit of a naff thing to say, and I realise that you're probably never going to see this video, but I find it important to attempt to talk to an individual, and that's what I'm doing here by addressing you. Now, I just wanted to talk to you about your brilliant book. I mean, it's just amazing. The Fault in Our Stars, which is here, available from the usual places, such as Amazon and so on. So there you go. Fault in the Stars, John Green. I think it's both a dark book and a light book, and I considered doing this whole video inverted so that when I showed you the pages, it was going to be white on black. And I've lost my daughter's place. And that's another thing that's happening. We're all reading it avidly and nicking it from each other because we're so keen on it. And I have finished it now anyway. So, yes, it's both a dark book and a light book. It was the darkest of books, it was the lightest of books. And the way you switch between them is amazing. I have actually done that when I've written myself, and apparently it works quite well, but I think you really pull it off, and that's just fantastic. Switching between the humour and the tragedy is just it's really neat. I know it's not a tragedy. Anyway, I had a friend die of sarcoma last year, and in fact I'm going to put a link down there to a sarcoma charity that people can donate to, which I think you probably should. It's a bit of a neglected disease. There's a lot of neglected diseases actually, but that's not what we're talking about now. What did I like? Well, I really liked the way Van Houten was destroyed by the death of his daughter. I think that, you know, you've got this whole idea of heroism and people struggling on in the face of adversity and their grief and all that sort of thing, and that isn't always what happens. In fact, people can be really bitchy and nasty to each other, and that's what has happened in some situations that I'm aware of. So yeah, that was really good. I found the characters really very believable. I felt like they were trying to complete their lives rather than just have them cut off, but they were going to be inevitably cut off anyway. And I also like the way you talked about the fact that none of us really know how long we've got, and we're all going to end, and eventually the heat death of the universe will happen, and then there'll be nothing left, which is like absolutely true. Something that used to keep me awake at night as a child, actually. I've written all this down, I'm afraid. Yeah, a universe waiting to be noticed. That was a really neat idea, and stood out for me, as well as another idea, which I'm going to sort of come to in a minute. I think you can look at that in so many different ways, and you left it open. And I thought it was really neat how you left it open. You can look at it as in terms of quantum physics, you know, an unobserved event, not having any reality. You can look at it in terms of the anthropic principle, like we're in this universe, and therefore the universe is set up for observers, but it's actually just chance because we're one of many possible worlds, which I thought was really, you know, that's another possibility. Or you could even look at it theistically or pantheistically. But the fact that you left it open, it made it very sort of resonant with me, and I like that. Like I say, it could have been so easily sentimental and schmaltish, but it wasn't. I think that's very difficult to pull off, and I think that you're possibly talking to a very scary audience, because there are loads of people out there who either have got cancer or are dying of cancer or have lived with cancer, whose loved ones have died of cancer, and that's like a really tough crowd. And I thought it was very courageous of you to try and address those people. I also found, and this is brilliant, this is probably just me, but I found that rather than being intimidated by the awesome quality of your writing, I felt like you were actually giving me permission to be a human being with all the darks and lights, and also to write like a human being, rather than writing like a robot, which is I tend to do at the moment, although I do try not to do that. So yeah, we're all nicking this book off each other. I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of everything you've published and your unpublished stuff. I mean, not that there's any pressure. I mean, we're all scared, aren't we? And yeah, it's just bloody fantastic. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.